guys might have heard of Rodney Dangerfield. It's probably our second gig, I think, because our first gig we actually called ourselves Fat Tony, and that was an even worse band name decision than Umphrey's McGee. But yeah, we were playing at a bar, and he was in town for, I think he had a relative, a cousin or something that he was visiting, and as per the usual, he was getting a little bit loose and decided before our second set that he wanted to do a little intro for the band. And so that night, as kind of a joke, we'd called ourselves Hubert Humphrey's Traveling Band featuring Fatty McGee. That was a little too much for him, and kind of a mouthful, and all anybody heard was Umphrey's McGee. So it's a little bit of a debate between whether the microphone wasn't working, our gear wasn't very good back then, or whether or not he was a little toasty.
The songwriting process, our latest record is called Death by Stereo, which came out, last year? Yep. Last year. We're about to go into the studio to work on some new works for an upcoming record, probably in the next year or 2 years. The songwriting process is very different for our band. We don't all live together in Chicago anymore, so we're kind of spread out throughout the country. So we do a lot of writing live. We listen to a lot of our live improvisations and come back and look at riffs or sections, and then we kind of Lego those together. And we also do a lot of writing on our own. So when we get together and we cut out some time to get into the studio, we'll just put basically everything we have into a big chart, into a big pile, put it together and see what works best.
Yeah, definitely have a little bit of the kind of the Postal Service vibe too. Now that technology has allowed us to be able to send ideas back and forth, it's really amazing to come up with something and be able to send it around and everybody can hear it, and then we get together and have other ideas that we can put together. So I definitely am a fan of 21st century technology. Computer magic, as they say in Spinal Tap.
Big influences for the band and individually. It really does run the gamut because we're a six-piece, and each person kind of grew up on different influences. Our percussionist was very heavily into hip-hop. I was very into heavy metal, from Guns N' Roses to Iron Maiden. He's more of a John Tesh, Yanni type fan. So we go from classical to metal to dub reggae, and we try to incorporate that in our live shows all the time because I don't know if this is a good thing or bad thing, but we're very ADD. So we can't just stick with one thing all the time. That's why our improvs go from anywhere from Zappa to Miles Davis to Pearl Jam to Guns N' Roses to Snoop Dogg.
Technology has really been an amazing thing for us. We've even created some different musical elements of events and shows kind of based around it. Probably our most notable one, we created an event called Bowl, and we've now done 3 of them. We'll be going on our 4th this next year. And it really involves a lot of fan interaction. So one of the sets we have is the band is improvising, but we're improvising off of texts that the fans send in. So we have them moderated, and then they go up on a board for all of the fans and for the band to see, and then we kind of have to create on the spot depending on what they put up there. We also do it's 4 different quarters, so that's one of the quarters. Another one is a choose your own adventure. So we'll have 3 different options up on the screen, and people are voting live while we're playing about what the next thing that's going to happen. So so I guess the thing that we've kind of discovered out of this is that you can use this to your advantage to create and play things that the fans that are there exactly what they want to hear. Hey, I'm Joel Cummins from Umphrey's McGee, and we are with the GRAMMYs at ACL.